All right. So Bill Maher is one of those guys that I'll admit that I used to really like. I used to watch most of Real Time. I watched his stand-up specials. I watched his documentary Religious. Yeah, he always kind of struck me as like a guy that I could vibe with because, the smoking pot, the, not wanting kids, the bachelor life. Again, I don't think I could do that. But everything else I was kind of like, yeah, you know what? He's got some good takes. But I don't know. Once the big C hit, he kind of started losing his mind a little bit. Started going with what I called the childish crew, where instead of just trying to figure out what was going on or what we could do to be safer and stop something that we didn't know about, yeah, everybody just kind of freaked out and said, "Oh, don't tell me what to do." And yeah, that's what I call the childish crew because that's literally the same mentality as a child. So, unfortunately, he's actually doing some pretty good stuff lately. Specifically, had just come back from a little bit of a hiatus, which he did a very creepy interview with the Haktua girl. I think I might cover it, but until then, if you want to see some just straight up creepiness, go search that one out. I think it's his Club Random podcast or something like that. But regardless, he came back and he had a panel with James Carville, Dan Crenshaw, and Kaitlan Collins, who works for CNN. Um, and it turned out to be kind of heated. They actually pushed back against some of the Republican talking points that even with Bill Maher and some of like these entertainment political shows, they have not been doing this. They especially like the left leaning political shows, they on like mainstream media, they have not been doing this. They have treated the Republicans, Trump, and their counter facts, or what is it, their alternative facts, with this merit that they do not deserve. Like, they need to be treated just as ridiculous as the stuff that's coming out of their mouths. But again, I digress. So I was just going to say, let's check out their panel because honestly, it was really good.
Dan, what explains why certain Republicans like Tucker Carlson have become so pro-Putin? Good question. What does explain that?
Your buddy. Man, I don't know. Tucker hates my guts. I mean, I think we all know that.
Well, that says a lot for you.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know how to explain Tucker. I've never met.
He seems salty about that. He's just like, man, Tucker doesn't like me. Apparently, I'm not on in the in crowd with the Tucker Carlsons and the Fox Newsers. They're mad at me.
Met Tucker. Never even spoken with him. He just trashes me because I think it's a bad idea if Russia wins a land war in Europe. And I would remind everybody, I know this is getting serious, but I would remind everybody, if you don't stop Russia there, right, and we're spending maybe 5 to 10% of our sorry, I said GDP, defense spending just on supporting Ukraine so they can fight their own battles. If you didn't do that, if you never gave them any Stingers, never gave them any javelins, you'd have a Russian army that is fully intact and also very aware that we don't defend our friends, and they'd be on the border of former NATO countries. If you want to get closer to war, that's how you get closer to war. So what do I make of some random, his opinion who got fired from Fox News? I don't know.
That opinion, which I agree with, is out of step with your own party.
It's about half and
Yeah.
half. I mean, really? You can see it in our votes, yeah. I mean, it's an ongoing discussion. And Trump, by the way, has never ran away from it. Trump has always said, first of all, he threatened Putin when he was in office.
With what? Leaving orange lipstick on his ass?
He said, but we're
with what, a kiss?
In a culture like Russia's, that would be a threat. Right. But no, he said, purportedly said, I'm going to bomb the shit out of Moscow if you invade Ukraine. In any case, we know he didn't invade Ukraine while he was president. He increased the lethal aid to Ukraine by a lot, actually. And he's never said he's backing away.
Yeah, because I think he was kind of waiting for the presidential election to pan out so he could get the either or the, and I think he got the, so what did Putin do? He had himself a little, what is it, strongman temper tantrum. That's the best way to describe it. These guys, these strongman dictators, when they don't get their way, same thing, turn into children. What do you mean I can't get my? What do you mean I can't invade Ukraine?
From Ukraine, what he has said is it should be a loan. We should have mining rights. Europeans should pay more. All things I think we all agree with.
Okay.
Except that whole impeachment thing.
Which part? The ones the Democrats impeached him for?
Withholding aid to Ukraine.
The thing that Biden did before that.
Point.
Yeah,
I forgot about that.
Yeah. Well, but that's.
quid pro quo.
That's diplomacy. And Biden did the exact.
That's not diplomacy.
That's not diplomacy. That's a quid pro quo politics, where you're literally strong-arming a smaller country into going, we want you to do this, and if you don't, then you don't get this. What?
He did the exact same thing, literally to the exact same country.
No,
Yes,
really?
he did.
What did he do?
He was bragging about withholding aid unless they fired that the prosecutor.
corrupt prosecutor,
Right,
which is what your party complains about.
Yeah, they were. Yeah, exactly. You guys were literally. You were complaining about how corrupt Ukraine. See, I just had that discussion with one of my family members where they were talking specifically about the corruption in Ukraine, and it's like, well, they tried to do something about it, and they elected Zelensky, who tried to, get rid of the corruption, and he had this corrupt prosecutor that was, upending all of it, and he was definitely a Russian puppet, but. Yeah, they don't know any of that.
Diplomacy. So American presidents have that power to say, no, we're going to withhold aid because we don't like what you're doing. If our State Department and I'm not bashing Biden for doing that either.
That is something that you guys like. Again, do you know how many times I have to hear why is our military in such and such country? It doesn't even matter. I had to explain the UN to my father because he was just like, why are the world police? Why are we spending all this money in these And he sees it as this money going towards those countries and the military is literally coming from him. Like, he is the one fronting this bill. And if we were not doing this, we would be so much more wealthy instead of realizing that they'd still be taxing us for something else. And also, he doesn't get mad about like dark money. He doesn't get mad about the Pentagon programs. None of that. It's always the stuff that they always push in the Republican media where, entitlements. It's always the entitlements. It's always because you can see that. You can literally see somebody with an EBT card at the grocery store and hate that person because they represent everything that you hate. The fact that you are giving to them. So you just because you don't see it with the military, with all of the waste, you just decide, I'm going to rally against the poor.
Either, by the way.
But Trump was withholding aid because he wanted an investigation into Hunter
within their
Biden.
powers as the president. Sorry,
I mean, sorry, I went on a little rant there, but still.
You could misuse power. And he was saying if you don't, it was congressionally authorized, I think it was $400 million.
James Carville. All right, real quick, I do just want to say since 2024 is the year of unabashed ageism, and if anybody tries to come at me, yeah, have fun. Because Donald Trump, like we're still saying how Donald Trump is too old, almost too senile to be president. So we've literally just taken, and again, I'm glad we have, because Republicans did that whole bully tactic of just like, he's so old, he's senile, and they dominated that narrative. I can't believe how much that was in the mainstream media. All of it, like every single CNN, MSNBC even, they were all on it and they overcovered it, not giving Trump the same look, not giving him the same criticisms. Again, the fact that like they would go on, like Biden would be talking about a substantive policy and he would stammer once and they'd be like, oh, yeah, see, he's unfit to be president. And they, again, do not do the same with Donald Trump. But I'm going to do the same thing with James Carville here. James Carville, full disclosure, has always annoyed the piss out of me. I've never liked him. Since the very first appearance I saw of him, and I had it like essentially described to me that him and his wife are these, political commentators that came out of Congress that one's a Republican, one's a Democrat, and like they don't agree on politics, but they have a long-standing marriage and blah, 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 blah. Number one, his wife acts like she legit hates him. Number two, he comes on with the same sweater, which looks like he got it from a PBS store. Literally, if it just said PBS with a freaking Sesame Street logo, it's the same sweater. Come on, let's just admit it. This color scheme is ridiculous. Okay, but what really gets my goat is the fact that nobody tells him when he's drooling, because this guy, I don't know what it is. It must be his dentures or just like his jawline, because he goes like this. He gets these little drool marks and like these little bits of spittle. Nobody ever checks him on it, and he shows up to almost every single one, and he gets it. I guarantee you, he's probably gonna get it here. I like how I had to say probably because I'm not entirely sure. Don't ever ask me to bet with you.
Authorization, and he tells the guy, if you don't give me some dirt,
He's already doing it. What am I talking about? See, he's already doing it.
I'm sorry. That's not right. That's not right. Congress voted for that. It was the law, and I think the whole I don't understand the whole Russia stuff in terms of Tucker. He's a friend of mine. Did a show with him. He used to say that shit in the group.
And right there, again, this guy's the Democratic voice of reason, but he's friends with freaking Tucker Carlson. So how morally, like, representative can you be of the Democratic Party if you're just gonna buddy up? Like, it's not, and that's not agree to disagree. Tucker Carlson is one of the most reprehensible human beings who actually has an impact on these things. He impacts people's thought processes. So the fact that you're just like, yeah, he's a friend of mine, it just shows me that you're like, this is it. This is what America was sick of like before Trump even became a thing. You're all in it together. You're all in the green rooms, just talking up. It's like, you probably even say, well, I'm going to say this. So, you know the counter to that, just to maintain the narrative. I swear, like, it's, I don't want to be that cynical, but it really does seem like that's what it is. But I digress.
Green room, and I thought he was joking and being provocative. It turned out he really believed it.
Gee, it turns out he really believes it. It turns out that he's kind of a morally reprehensible human being, but I still like the guy.
Goes back that far.
I still stand up for him. He's a good guy. We go boating together. We also go golfing.
It was pretty.
Can I explain Russia?
The guys are
But I
pretty
think,
fine. What can I say?
But I go on with Russia because we once did an editorial on it in this show. It's the last country that's all in on white. Did you watch the Olympics? Like, every country in the world now is multiracial.
Yeah.
Not Russia.
He's got a point.
I think that's something that a part of the Republican Party just really likes about Russia. They are not for multiculturalism.
Look at that face. What are you talking about? That's ridiculous. Even though, I mean, I do kind of like it. Maybe we do like Russia.
No one wants
There's more white people in Sweden. I mean, I don't think.
What? We're talking about maybe a quarter of the actual population with Sweden, or like between Sweden and Russia. And on top of it, no, what he just said is in every delegation that went to the Olympics, they had multiracial delegations. Some of them, they did that weird thing where they just represented a country even though they're from America. Like, Sweden was actually one of them. God, I forgot what the kid was playing. It was like shot put or something. Oh no, it was the pole vault. The pole vault guy. He's actually from Louisiana, but somehow, because his dad was also on Team Sweden, but he was also an American. I don't know. That stuff always kind of made me confused because it's like, all right, you guys got your medal, but you technically used an American to do it. But all right, I'm not an American exceptionalist. I'm just saying it's literally what happened. But also, look at this smug face. Just that's ridiculous. He knows exactly just how right Bill is here.
Sweden took in like a million.
We're way. Like, I think they have a higher white population. Russia has like all Asian. Come on. I'm not.
Really?
That's just not it.
That is it.
That's not it.
I could read you the quotes. They love it. They're quotes about how, like, it's the last country in Europe that's going to be completely white. And anyway, we'll move on.
There's some people who like Russia for unknown reasons. I just don't know how to explain.
Oh, they like that. They like the pretty Capitol building. It looks like ornaments, Christmas ornaments. It just reminds us of Christmas.
I like the ballet.
Kaitlan, what is the most...
They're great at ballet.
They're very good.
Very good ballet.
Very good. Very good at doping.
Even their drink is called a White Russian.
There's a Black Russian too.
Not in Russia. The only black in Russia was Brittany Griner.
Really?
What is the most pressing question, Kaitlan, you would ask V.P. Harris if you had the chance?
Anytime that somebody goes, oh, that's giving Bill the ammo to just be like, oh, it's just jokes, people.
Ooh.
I have a lot of questions for her, but I do think I would ask about, where she stood when she
I think that's a dachshund, that's awesome.
was running as a candidate, and
Think it's either that or a lion, which
for the 2020 Democratic primary,
really
where she
tell.
stands on a lot of issues now. She's criticized a lot by Republicans for reversing her positions. I think also, Donald Trump has reversed a lot of his positions from covering those. But I think I would be interested in her evolution and where her instincts are, and what she learned from governing with a moderate like President Biden.
Okay. James, how much faith are you putting in polls that show Harris is ahead in key states and nationwide?
So let me say this. August is a great Democratic month. We hell on wheels come August, okay? You remember what George Steinbrenner said about Dave Winfield? He called him Mr. May. The idea is to be good in November. And I tell Democrats, some call.
Isn't it also when they go on vacation, like as a Congress? Like during the election season, they kind of just go and, campaign for other people, but realistically, there is no session of Congress in August.
Caution here. First of all, most quants say we have to win by 3 in the popular vote.
I'm literally just asking that. It's because I don't, you know what? I'll look it up.
Vote to win the Electoral College. So when you see a poll that says we 2 up, well, that's actually you're 1 down if the poll is correct.
Yeah, you lose.
The other thing is Trump traditionally, when he's on the ballot, chronically underpolls. All right? And so they came back late in Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania in 2020, and it showed Biden winning these states 7, 8
Under
points.
polls, meaning Trump's going to do better than the polling shows?
I'm saying
because people are,
traditionally, he underpolls. Traditionally.
means he's going to do better in the election because people are too ashamed to tell a poll.
No, I actually disagree with that entirely because I think that the Democratic Party, especially in 2020, like that's why they coined, because you had the Trumpers going, we're the silent minority, we're the silent majority. It's like, no, number one, you're not silent and you're not the majority. There was the silent majority that was the Democrats and people who voted for the Democrats and Joe Biden, who came out in droves, proved the pollsters wrong, and then just upended the election. According to all of these guys, optics and, metrics and all that crap that they put together, like there's nothing that pisses off pollsters more when they are just so blatantly wrong. 2016, really, that screwed up every pollster because I think that literally the day of the election, they had Hillary up at like 58 to like 30 something. So again, as much as I love seeing some of these polls, especially with the Democrats going on the upswing, I just take them for the grain of salt that they are. I mean, they're only small focus groups that realistically, when I get a phone call from anybody with a number I don't recognize, I'm not answering it. And the people who do are genuinely kind of insane at this point. Either that or they really are just so old school that they're just like, well, I have to answer the phone. What if it's an important call? It could be the Nigerian prince that has all my money for me. He just needs me to send him $300 and then I'll be a millionaire.
I'm saying, I don't know, but I'm just saying traditionally, with Trump on the ballot, just telling the Democrats, they said, oh, James and Debbie down.
I cannot get over how ugly that sweater is. And on top of it, I just noticed this. He has a stain on it. You couldn't even bring a clean sweater? Dude, I did laundry. What the hell?
No, what's he talking about? I'm not just telling you, you got to win by 3. And I think we can get there. I think the debate on September 10th is going to be so consequential, and it's going to have an audience that we can't believe, because what does America love? A train wreck. And they had one on June the 27th, and they want another train wreck.
I agree on that. Do you guys have that debate?
It's ABC debate.
ABC debate.
If it happens, I still think it's an open question.
Really?
Trump's going to go. He's got.
There's a part of me that really thinks that I don't think he should do this. I don't think his campaign wants him to do it, realistically. They don't want him to go out there and then get cornered by Kamala, because Kamala is not Biden, obviously, but she has the potential to really embarrass him. And just through him being him, just put him on the defense, and then boom.
You think that Trump is going to pull out?
I think Trump is nervous about it. I think I talked to a lot of sources in his world. I think he is really struggling.
Are you sure that the source isn't the actual, the man himself.
With it. It's not just a narrative.
She's literally gone on the record like talking about how he has her number and like he called her in an Uber before an interview, like just
or a talking point from Democrats. He really has struggles with how to combat her. And I think going into that debate, he does not really want to do it. I think it's difficult, if not impossible, for him to pull out because his campaign manager had cards printed that said anywhere, anytime, any place for President Biden, and it would look weak. But I don't think he's looking forward to it at this point.
No.
I think the specter of September 18th is driving him crazy. He's going to have to sit in that courtroom, and that judge is going to lecture him. Now, I don't know if he's going to have jail time, but there's going to be some imposition on his liberty. I don't know what it is, and those judges have sentencing options that are multitudinous. They can do a lot of different creative things. But he knows that's coming. He knows September 10th is coming. There's no way that he can get out of it, Kaitlan. I don't think. I mean, I would be happy if he did, but he kind of needs the debate now. He needs it as much as she does.
Right, he does.
And so,
listen, I don't say this lightly, but it really does seem like she's coming at it with like the direct source where it's not just, even a phone call. I'm talking pillow talk, possibly. I mean, we haven't seen Melania, and she,
so instinctively, the candidate
she seems to be the only one on CNN that he actively doesn't hate.
that doesn't want to debate is the one that doesn't need.
Sorry, maybe I was speaking out of turn there. You know what? I'm not going to insinuate that she's sleeping with Donald Trump, except for the fact that she did say pulling out and literally go like.
The one that needs it and wants to debate. So we'll make a friendly bet. I think it goes wrong.
He's going to shit the bed. You know this.
He's an almost 80-year-old man, so that's going without saying.
He does not do well with women.
Hey, you wear diapers?
He's
Yeah, not really.
I would, whether he does the debate or not, I'm not a political pundit trying to analyze this stuff. But I do know that it's a very easy debate to win. So all you have to say is, look, you had 4 years, I had 4 years. When I was president,
Excuse me?
and when you were president,
What? Did he forget that they're not running against Biden?
here's the differences. Gas prices are up 50% when you're vice president.
No. But tell me again how vice presidents set gas prices. Please explain that.
Electricity prices up 30%.
Also explain how they control inflation. Please explain that. Explain that. Instead of just literally catering to the idea and like to the mindset of the dumbest, out of touch Americans, literally. The ones who do not follow this in the slightest that still vote are the ones that literally go, this party in power, economy bad, me vote for other party. That's it. It's literally that simple. They don't care about Trump. They don't care about who it is. All they care about is making a point by saying, things were not that great under this regime, so we're going to try another one. And then they bitch about it more when they're like, well, I thought I'd be getting more. How come I'm not getting more?
Grocery up 22%. The list keeps going. Taxes were lower.
And it keeps coming down, but nice try. Fed's going to cut rates. Then what? And also, here's the nice part about the quarterly reports that come out from these corporations is we get to see exactly how many profits they're raking in. So specifically, the three big corporations that own our grocery chains, they recorded over $19 billion in profits. So tell me again how it's fucking inflation.
Lower under Trump, they raised them
Getting
under
sick of this.
Biden and Harris. Regulations were lower under Trump, they raised them under Biden and Harris.
Let's go with the libertarian way of thinking. Let's deregulate more. Let's deregulate the FDA. I mean, what do you think of the EPA?
There's immigration numbers way down. They actually tried to stop the problem. Record numbers under Biden.
Oh, so apparently they went into these countries, stabilized them to make sure that there was no net immigration, because that's exactly what Trump did, right? Or the wall just did it. So this magic wall that he didn't build, but apparently you guys say he did. So here's apparently what you guys think happens. These people leave their country of origin to come up here, travel how many ever miles. Most of you just think it's literally leaving their home in Mexico and just going, we want to go there because it's nicer. They get to the border and then they just go, oh, no, it's too big. Oh, no, they don't want us here, so we're going to turn around. Is that Is that what happened? Is that, or our border agents just said, nope, 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 go, go. Okay. Like they're not doing that now. Again, also not bringing up what they have done with immigration. Just as like, do you understand that the far left really took an L on that one? If the far left is for open borders, that's literally the main issue that they lost this election cycle. You had Democrats vote for one of the most conservative border bills in modern history. We also gave Joe Biden executive actions to close the border, but okay, she's border czar, border open, brown people coming, taking jobs. Again, literally, this is the classics. Can you guys get a new playbook like next time so we can't just see all this coming? I mean, literally, 2028. I'm just gonna just mark it. That's when we're gonna start caring about election or about the border again, and that's when we're gonna start caring, about any of the disingenuous BS that these guys throw out.
And Harris, this is a very easy debate to win because on the metrics, it's very easy to show side by side.
Okay, but
Although on the other end there, notice how Democrats are pretty consistent with like, no, we just want healthcare, bro. We want healthcare. Although this time it is like either demanding ceasefire. Like this time it is a little more complicated because the left is pretty much fighting with itself over a situation that nobody can actually win. So like they're not going to get any, even if we stopped giving them the weapons, the war would still continue and the atrocities would still continue. I just don't understand this idea that you wash your hands of, supporting Israel and that's just going to end it all. And then Palestinians, and then it's like, what are we supposed to do? Are we supposed to do the opposite? Go and set up a Palestinian territory again? And just, I don't have the answers. Every time that I hear somebody arguing for these things, I start asking those questions and where it leads, and they don't have an answer past, it's not right. It's like, I understand that, and I don't want to see people die, but if you hold your vote and then Donald Trump wins, especially if he wins in a margin that, like, your vote would have mattered, I think that you might feel kind of silly, but that's just me. Whatever, I'm not going to lecture this.
That's what his campaign wants him to say. But Donald Trump it's not a campaign where you just give him his talking points and he goes out there and delivers them. Yeah. I mean, Donald Trump is his own biggest impediment. His own campaign will tell you that. I mean, he's questioning whether or not her race and whether or not she's actually black at an event with black journalists. It's stuff like that his campaign is, watching in real time and knowing he's their own biggest liability.
And also, if I may say, you're sure of yourself. You present these issues as if it's, a slam dunk. Less regulations. Well, some regulations are good.
Some are good, but 10 more.
Some are bad. Believe me, I live in California. I know.
We have a lot. It's like I oversee the EPA, my subcommittee. Like one regulation can be good, clean air, good, all of it good.
And I have a lot of friends who are Republicans that kind of believe in lighter touch regulation, maybe a few less taxes, kind of slightly nationalistic. If I'm one of you, I want Trump to get big bad. I mean, I'm talking about a 64-72 wipeout. You know what happened after Republicans got wiped out in 64? They won in 68. You know what happened after the Democrats got wiped out in 72? They won in 76. If Harris gets 280 electoral votes, your party is fucked. Because he's stuck with them the whole time. They're not going anywhere. You want to wipe out.
What I want most of all is for my daughter to grow up in a place where she can start her own business more easily.
You're kidding, right? Like, you don't think that you have the connections for your daughter to start her own business? Shut up.
She's not competing against men on a swimming team or in a wrestling match. That's what I want.
Oh, yes, because, okay, yeah, that's what's gonna... Dude, you need to really stop with these things because it's kind of starting to look even more and more ridiculous with how little you start to realize this is actually a thing. Because you tried the one with the Olympics and you guys really got egg on your face on that one. Keep calling out women that you think are men and see how that goes.
And so the Trump policies simply are better. You have less of the...
Could you imagine if China was around today?
Bad stuff. more of the good stuff, right?
Sorry,
I don't know.
How is it going
I don't know how to break this to
election?
you.
Like, what other
The
things that are
Trump
supposed to be
economy,
down are up, and all things supposed to be up or down?
the Trump
I know,
economy was
50 to
no better
1.
than the
I know.
Obama economy, but
I know. 50 to
I can
1.
run circles around you on the
Okay, but you
economics
said-
of this.
let's go back to 280 votes.
Okay.
What does Trump do if he loses this? Now, he lost the last election, right?
Yeah, he lost the last election.
Okay, that's a very important.
Yay, one of the few ones that says it.
Okay,
He's president.
but he hasn't conceded losing that last election. My point to you, sir, is that gas prices and food prices go up and down, but this shit is forever.
Don't take my word for Biden policies being responsible for inflation. You can just ask the Fed and their statements in
That's not
2022.
the question I'm asking.
It was all on fiscal stimulus, which is the American Rescue
Okay,
Plan.
but I'm saying that stuff, that's the normal stuff.
And that needed to happen to boost our economy to the point that it is today. Otherwise, we would be in this recession that every economist for the last 2 years has been going on about, saying it's coming, and then they get shocked once March and then June hit, and then they're like, whoa, there's more jobs than we were expecting. The economy is actually booming. We can't craft a narrative against the Democrats because the economy's pretty good. Oh, inflation's still high.
Stuff of politics and economics. It goes up and down. But not
normal.
But wait, but wouldn't you concede that
What legislation have the Republicans put through the House that Joe Biden and the Democrats in the Senate would unilaterally get together and go, yeah, you know what? This will decrease inflation. Good job. Good job, Republicans. Nothing. So I don't want to hear anything about, oh, well, Kamala doesn't have a policy. The entire Republican Party doesn't have a policy when it comes to inflation. If they did, they'd be trying to do something about it. Donald Trump, you know what his policy is? And this is real. Anytime he's actually asked about it, he just goes, just elect me, I'll get it done. And you fucking take that as an answer. That's so messed up, but
not conceding elections is a much bigger, more
keep grading Democrats and Democratic politicians on a curve. Yeah.
existential issue, and that he's not going to concede this election. Can you imagine? Can you tell me a scenario where he loses, maybe even by more, and he concedes the election? Can you imagine him saying, I've seen the results, and I'd like to congratulate?
Like, I'm sorry. Like, it's so frustrating that they're just like, they know he's a clown, but he's an entertaining clown and he gets the ratings. So they're ready to just sacrifice all of democracy just so they could get that little bump for the year.
Kamala Harris and running a good campaign. It's impossible to imagine.
I don't have to imagine. I don't have to imagine any of it because I know the history of it. And the history of it is he moved out of the White House. There was a peaceful transition of power and there was an
What? You just said it was a peaceful transfer of power? What? Ask Mike Pence about that one.
inauguration on January 21st.
He tried everything not to do that.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, they tried to do the same unconstitutional process.
James Carville's even doing what I'm doing. I'm like, I'm ready to bash my head on this desk.
No,
that Democrats did in the last three elections.
The Democrats sent fake electors. The Democrats pressured the Justice Department. The Democrats went to court and got laughed out of it. No, that never happened in any other election.
You're talking about utilizing the legal process. Now, I disagree with the fact that there should even be a process to decertify an election. But Democrats did it 3 times in the elections prior to that. Where was the hand-wringing then? Stacey Abrams has never said that she lost the governor's race in Georgia.
And that's
Nobody
wrong.
rings their hands about
That's wrong, and it's a false equivalency to sending fake electors.
Fake electors. What fake electors?
What's fake electors?
There's no fake electors.
I want to make 2 points. Check Michael Bloomberg said there's zero evidence that the economy
They literally sent fake electors, dude. Come on. You don't think that those court cases where they were found guilty in Georgia mattered?
First 2 years of the Trump economy went in better than the last 2 years of the Obama economy. All right, period. The truth of the matter is, Trump inherited.
What did you say?
Trump inherited a good economy. Okay, Biden inherited a crappy economy. That's a fact. Okay, that's a fact.
That's not a fact.
Wow. Maybe I'd be more lenient and grade you guys fairly if you guys were a little more, honest.
So inheriting economy matters when you count jobs?
A Democrat storming the Capitol and beating the shit out of a police officer, then I'm going to say something.
I definitely saw him beating the shit out of a lot of police officers and burning down a lot of buildings in the riots of 2020. But on the inheriting a good economy, can we address that real quick? Because that's often a talking point, and it's completely false. By the time Biden took office, real GDP was back to pre-pandemic levels. And one of the quarters in the last year of Trump, 35% increase in GDP, then 5%, then 4%.
What? The pandemic was still going on, dipshit.
You were well on your way to a recovered economy by the time Biden got to take office. That's where a lot.
What are you talking about? You guys were still fighting over giving us anything. Like, I'm pretty sure that you guys would have tanked that bill for the American Rescue Plan. What are you talking about?
Of those job gains were coming from. And they were despite the fact that Democrat mayors and governors all over the country were destroying their own cities, destroying their own economies, keeping them locked down more than they needed to, just like here in LA, just like in California, just like what Tim Walz did in Minnesota. These things all happen.
We're living in a dystopian, apocalyptic world, guys. Did you know that? Did you know that? A Morton Joe. That's who we're actually voting for. I mean, might as well be. Jesus.
And so if you want to talk about inflation, what causes inflation? Lack of supply, too much demand. They injected a ton of demand, $2 trillion worth in American Rescue Plan, and then they screwed supply by screwing up and closing down factories and businesses.
Weird how the world was part of that. Weird. Weird that there's this globe where America isn't the entire thing.
That creates a perfect storm. Republican policies are not responsible for any of that.
Well, some of the economic conditions in the United States in December of 2020 compared to December of 2016. And I'm going to tell you what you're going to find. It was a lot better in December.
There was a global pandemic.
Again.
Oh, it was in the middle of a pandemic. But he was on the way to a recovery, and I'm trying to. Fuck you.
I try not
I'm so
to
sick of it.
Because I have respect for you. You're Lieutenant Commander in the Navy.
I'm sorry.
But what happened was they assaulted the Capitol at the encouragement of him. They are celebrating this on 5 September of 2024. Right. And if a Democrat did something like that, I would go nuts. I'd want to haul off and slug them right in the face. I wouldn't do it.
I did go nuts. Like, I hated it.
That's what they do it. They are honoring.
Yeah, you never recovered.
They're honoring these
obviously,
criminals.
your brain's still broken.
And I wouldn't, and so a Democrat in Minneapolis, I'm not for that at all. And by the way, look what happened. And so
you got to admit, though, that people. Go ahead.
Again, these were people that assaulted the Capitol. They were trying to hang people.
But also to act like what Democrats have done before, which is often something that Republicans, when we have them on my show, say when we talk about January 6th and the fake electors and Trump refusing to admit that he lost the election. There was barely a peaceful transfer of power. They actually wouldn't even allow them to move forward with getting federal funding to start the transition for weeks. I remember it was because we found out about a little-known position that no one in the federal government even really knew much about because of that. But also, the difference then is Joe Biden went and certified the election. He was the vice president then, and he certified Donald Trump's election and
So did Mike
there was
Pence.
not a massive.
Because
Mike Pence was pressured not to by Donald Trump.
The entire process of certification is bullshit. It's unconstitutional. Democrats opened this door. Republicans.
Okay, so his whole argument is, well, he did it, but I don't agree with it anyway. I don't think certification should even be a thing.
Ran through it. Congress, I'm hearing
did
booze
not
in the
open
audience.
the door.
The Constitution, yes, they did. 3 elections in a row.
You cannot compare
I can
those.
because they're going through what they deem to be a legal process. I think it's illegal, no matter which party does it, because there's nowhere in the Constitution that says Congress gets to certify the election. They don't even use that word. This is based on an old 1886 law from the Reconstruction era. It's for a very different situation.
From the Reconstruction era, after what was that thing that we had?
We need to get rid of that entire process.
We need to have a full page 1 rewrite of the Constitution. Not that there aren't some great.
I also disagree with that, but okay.
We have the oldest Constitution in the world.
Right, and some of it is ridiculous. I live in a state with 40 million people, and I get 2 senators, and the Dakota Territory gets 4. All right, we got to go. Thank you very much, everybody.
Yeah, I mean, he's not wrong about that. That is annoying. I think that it's always been kind of, ridiculous that these small, these huge states like Wyoming, let's not, pretend that it's not a large piece of land, but it has a very, very small amount of people that live there in comparison to a California or a Chicago or New York. And that's why it's so funny when they're just like, we just need to make these cities their own territories so we can get more, because that's essentially what they're doing. They're trying to use our system against us by being like, well, we'll get more senators at that point and then we'll have more power. And it's taking it away from the majority of the people who just decided like, hey, we kind of want to be near people, near things, and not live 45 minutes away from our nearest grocery store. Not saying that there's anything wrong with that if that's where you live. I'm just saying that is not for me. And there's plenty of people that also agree with that mentality. But regardless, I think it's kind of ridiculous that the Republicans, especially like guys like Dan Crenshaw, who he's gone on record and disagreed with a lot of his party. If anything, he is one of like the few Republicans that still has a spine, who I do think that he truly does kind of believe the stuff that he's saying, and it's not just like cult stuff. However, there were obviously some of the politics being played there where he's just like talking about January 6th and all that kind of stuff and trying to downplay it, where he's just like, well, what about the Black Lives Matter riots? What about that? It's just like, dude, you're kind of you're burying yourself here, but whatever. Alrighty. Well, I don't think that I want to cover much more Bill Maher content, but if I have to, I will. Alrighty. Well, you know the deal. Like and subscribe and leave a comment. As far as subscriptions go, we're making our way to 1,000. So if you can, let's do it together. Come on. Also, don't you? Come on. You like me? You like my dog? My dog loves you guys. So, no, I think he lays here pretty much just throughout all the videos. So, I don't know. He's not exactly the most active co-host. So, all right. Well, I'll catch you in the next one.